What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Wingboys, where we talk about life, sports, and eat spicy wings. I'm Anthony. I'm here with Billy as always. And today we finally came through. We found the one chip, the Pocky one chip. Not the bag of the tortilla chips, the Pocky that are a little spicy. The one chip. So now we're finally fulfilling our bet from last year about the Jets win total. Now, what's our bet this year for what the Jets win total is going to be?
So I gotta go back because I'm pretty sure we upped it because you were a little spooked. Because originally it was gonna be the same as last year, which was 7. And you looked at the draft. We made the bet right after the draft, and you backed out of it, and you said, "Oh, that's way too little."
We had a good draft.
We had a good draft. We had a great draft.
Zach Wilson stepping into his second year. I mean, and
he's coming off the bench this week. I'm very excited,
I
guys.
think he might start.
He might exactly. He's starting.
Not coming off the bench.
He's starting.
Yes, that's not coming off the bench.
Coming off an injury.
Yeah.
You know, he's doesn't matter. What matters is Zach Wilson is going to play, and that senior citizen can go sit in his little rocking chair.
He's fifth in the league in passing yards.
He's doing great. He is doing great. I just love making fun of him because he's 36. He's old, bro.
What about Tom Brady? He's 45.
I've been saying since he was 30 he should retire. No, I'm just a hater. But before we're getting ahead of ourselves, before anything, let me introduce the wings so we can start eating them. We got LI Wing and Things, a fan favorite, at least my favorite. I love the taste of these wings. I love the texture. These guys always do good by us. I don't think they've messed us up yet. I don't think they've done us dirty. So
thank you, LI Wing and Things. Thank you.
That being said, I'm not going to continuously use them. They're still going to be in a rotation because it's only a matter of time.
We don't want too much of a good thing.
No, it's only a matter of time before they hurt.
We gotta cycle in our regular dysfunction. You know?
Exactly, because what's life without a little bit of chaos? But we have 20 wings here. We have the Screaming Chipotle, and we have the Raging Cajun.
Screaming Chipotle, Raging Cajun.
Doesn't matter. They don't know.
Well, they need to know.
You do need to know. And I appreciate you guys always watching. Appreciate you guys always cheering us on. Always any feedback we always get, I always appreciate.
Yeah.
And so we have the chip. So are we going to? So I lost last year.
Yeah, you did.
Abysmally.
Yeah.
So I want to double or nothing. Since we have 2 chips, I want to double or nothing to bet.
Double or nothing.
Double or nothing.
All right.
Either 2 chips on the same day or 2 weeks in a row of the one chip for whoever loses this time.
Okay. I'm going to add a caveat to that.
Okay.
If neither of us are right on the bet, 1 chip for you, 1 chip for me.
Ooh, so you're saying if they get 7 on the dot?
Yeah.
Alright, so if they get 6, I'm eating 2 chips. If they get 8, you're eating 2 chips. It's not looking good for me, folks, because the Jets have been as disappointing as ever.
Yeah.
I
mean, look, Garrett Wilson's looking good.
Garrett Wilson's looking great, but he keeps getting hurt, man. I keep getting nervous. The past 2 games, he's fallen pretty hard. And we're going to circle back to falling pretty hard in a second. Yeah. But Garrett Wilson, that Browns game, because we haven't talked, Anthony was sick last week, so you guys had that bonus episode. If you guys want more of those bonus episodes, let me know. I'm down to record them.
Sick.
Yeah. He's feeling better now, so we're here and we're getting it done. But I want to talk about both games since we have both games under our belt. We had that astounding, amazing, beautiful Browns game. That
we were down bad, and then what was it? The last 3 minutes we came back.
Not even. I think it was like a minute and a half.
Yeah, bro.
It was a crazy amount of time to the point where
it was this wild fluke play that Corey Davis scored on, and then we got the onside kick,
which we haven't done since
scored.
I think it was 2015. It was a year.
All I remember is Nick Chubb had 3 touchdowns in that game.
Oh,
we're not talking about that because we won.
It doesn't matter what Nick Chubb did. Despite
it doesn't matter. Speaking of which, we got the Zoa.
We take 1 week off. We're so dysfunctional, but we're feeling good. We're back. I want to talk about Nick Chubb because he did me good in fantasy, and I do want to talk about fantasy because I got to talk a lot of crap. But I want to go to this Jets game because it was so beautiful. It was the probability was 0.3% Jets winning in the last 2 minutes of the game, and they did it. They came back from the dead. And of course,
Yes,
it was
sir.
the 1 week I didn't bet on the Jets, the money line, and they won.
The real Joe Burr.
It was Joey Cool. Oh no, and then next week, yeah, it was Joey Cool. What is that his name?
Who? Joe Burrow?
Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Joey Cool, right?
I guess. I don't know.
I've heard him like-
never heard a nickname for him.
I've heard a nickname like that because of how he stays in the pocket under pressure.
Well, it's kind of like Matty Ice.
Exactly.
It's just kind of like that cold.
Yeah. It was Joey Cool versus Joe
Ability.
Burr. It was.
Joey Cool versus Joe Burr.
I was looking at this
Matty
Bengals
Ice
offense.
isn't looking like Matty Ice this year, though.
Nah, he's looking like Matty melted. But that's beside the point.
You look like Matty Water. So yeah.
You want to talk about that Bengals game for a bit while I start?
Absolutely. Well, for starters, I got T. Higgins on my fantasy team. Shout out T. Higgins last night for getting me 25.4 points. Phenomenal. And I also have Joe Burrow. So yeah, watching them go against the Jets, I was kind of torn between cheering for my fantasy team and wanting the Jets to win. But you know, we can't have everything we want, and the Jets lost, but my fantasy team finally won for the first time this season. I'm happy about that. I got my first win for two of my teams in fantasy, and then my third team got the first loss of the season. So you know, still can't have them all. But yeah, no, I'm really liking how one of my fantasy teams is looking, at least. I mean, Michael Thomas isn't playing. Keenan Allen isn't playing this week. DeAndre Swift is out this week. I'm struggling with my players this week. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of this week, though, and circling back to getting hit hard, that Tua Tagovailoa slam. That wasn't a hit. That was a slam.
That was WWE.
Unnecessary.
No,
first of all, the way he swung him around and then slammed him on the ground. But what was even more unnecessary, and I went off about this to multiple people last
He was
night,
very upset.
is how often Amazon, the broadcasting, showed the replay of him getting slammed on the ground in slow-mo like it was a touchdown, like they're doing a play-by-play, and Al Michaels is doing a play-by-play of this hit, and Tua getting severe brain damage, and they're doing a close-up of the slow-mo his hands, and it was just so disturbing to see the lack of respect for the player. Not even just Tua, but this has happened before. Last year with Donald Parham when he was laying unconscious in the end zone and the cameras bum rushed him. It's horrible to see that the blatant disregard for the safety of the players in the face of needing to get something rolling for the TV, for the viewers. I mean, show the sideline, show the coaches, show the players. Don't show him on the ground, unconscious, hands atrophied. Like the hit was so bad they had to leave his helmet on. They took the cage off the helmet. Like they had to probably stop his head from swelling, which is why they left the helmet on. I just didn't understand why they kept showing this replay over and over, and then it was like the fourth quarter or something, and they brought it back and showed the replay again, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you just so cold?
It was very strange and very inconsistent because there's been a couple times this year, like already 4 weeks in, there's been a couple of rough injuries where they actively said, they let everyone know, we decided not to replay this because it may be seen as disturbing to some viewers. But I guess maybe they just think it's a less family-friendly time. Amazon doesn't really care, and they kept watching. It was so... Now, Miami Dolphins is going to be the bankrupt Dolphins any day now because there was already
Hey man, Teddy Bridgewater is a good backup quarterback.
Oh no, I have nothing against the players. I'm talking about the league itself because there was already
Oh yeah.
an investigation from the NFL about Tua because
Because of his probable concussion from week 3
it was a
against the
problem.
Bills.
Yeah, exactly. And they
Yeah.
played him anyways in that game. He came back in that game.
Yeah.
And they called it a back injury. And then after that, they had to play him again this week because otherwise it was going to look suspicious. And they were already under investigation. So really, really disturbing and disgusting choice by the Dolphins.
They should have just cut their losses and started Teddy. I mean, you got to be safe than sorry in this game.
Absolutely.
Especially with all these old players coming up now with CTE. Vincent Jackson, I don't know if he killed himself or he died somehow. I don't know if it was at his own hands, but the autopsy afterward revealed that he had CTE. A lot of these guys that are passing away relatively early in their lives after football are coming up having CTE, and it's just they're taking steps to try and prevent this with the Guardian caps or the helmets in practice. Reduce concussions by 50% in training camp this year, which is great.
I think the 3D printed, the helmets are also 3D printed to fit the skull of the player a little better, so it does help. And also, like the NFL, and this is why the Dolphins are going to be in so much trouble, because the NFL they have very specific guidelines for concussion protocol to make sure that he's safe to come back to the game, especially because Tua's young. And like, I mean, obviously they're all young, and you don't want to see any of them have this, but he's a relatively new quarterback. I understand you want to get him in. I understand he might have told them, I'm fine, I want to go in. But again, he's a kid. He has a head injury now. His frontal cortex is not clearly mine isn't either. Isn't fully developed.
I think he's our age, maybe a little older.
You think he's older? I thought he was younger than us.
No.
But
he was drafted 2016? No, not 2016.
No, I thought it was
maybe 2017, 2018. But he was drafted relatively recently.
All right. So yeah, he was probably about our age. But still, like, if I get hit in the head, there's been please look at that, fact check for me. But either way, it's up to his team. It's up to his staff, all the medical staff that's on board. It's up to them to be like, hey man, you probably have an injury. You really should sit down. You really should take a rest. And he should, even if he took a week off, that probably would have been enough. If it really was a back injury, he should have held out, going from Sunday to Thursday. So
yeah, he's 24, born in '98.
Yeah, so
drafted in 2017.
2017. All right. Yeah, he is our age. But man, that's crazy to think about. Like he could be in some serious. He could have some serious issues right now. So thoughts and prayers go out to Tua, his family.
It's great to hear that he's conscious, moving all his extremities. It's
a good sign.
Yeah. He was brought back to Miami. He's in a hospital down in Miami. So praying for a speedy recovery for him.
Absolutely, and hopefully. I'm sure the NFL Players Association is going to have a field day.
They're already gonna sue.
Oh, they're gonna have. The Dolphins are not gonna.
But I hope that Tua doesn't come back and then immediately try to get back into play. I really hope that he takes the time that and I hope the team does too. Take the time that he needs to really recover and get right, and then when he is right, he eases back into the offense instead of just getting thrown right in. Well, because, I mean, just the way that he looked after that hit, you're never going to forget that.
It was very unsettling. It was very hard to watch.
The broadcasters were even talking about how a lot of the guys on the sideline were very rattled. And even at halftime, Ryan Fitzpatrick, a former teammate of Tua on the Dolphins, he was struggling to be able to do this halftime report. He said, I'm struggling right now to be able to do this. Like, he really feels for him, and not even 6 hours before that game, him and Tua were in an interview. They're playing ukulele, singing to each other. Right. They're having a great time. And it's really...
And it's hard to see, especially, like, I'm sure, like, I gotta give the other players credit to just playing through that. Because they all look at that, and they, like, especially the running backs, the wide receivers, all these other guys that are significantly smaller than some of these linemen, you know, like, they look at that and they're, that could very easily happen to me next.
Yeah.
And so...
And they were talking about on the broadcast how Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, he had a similar, not similar, but he had his own extreme injury, and he had his own recovery and getting back to the field, so he knows kind of what it's like to be sent out like that and how the team could be devastated. So he really, they were saying, he just kind of kept his cool, calm demeanor, brought the team together, you know, let's win this for Tua. I mean, they didn't win, but...
They did play with heart. You could tell they were playing with purpose.
Yeah, he kept that team together for that rest of that game.
Absolutely. It was quite a game to see. I really like the Bengals away, the home uniforms, that all white, that was really nice. But, yeah, so I'm sure because of all the heat that Miami is going to get right now, get it, Miami Heat. I hate you. Because of that, I don't even want to look at you. I'm sure they're going to really ease him into it. They're going to do the right thing and make sure, even if he wants to get back in right away.
Wrong support.
Anyways, going back to the Jets, because we're on the Bengals anyway, let's talk about that Jets game. I was looking at the Bengals week 1 and week 2, and I knew this wasn't the Bengals team that played last year. I was very disappointed in how their offensive line was playing. I knew eventually they were going to get it, but I wish they got it on that Thursday night game and not against my Jets, because the Jets defensive line is very good. We have a very strong defensive line.
Always.
If they weren't on top of their game with that offensive line, we could have really done some serious damage. Hopefully not literal, but could have really held back that Bengals offense. But we did not. We didn't play like we should have, and their defense was a force to be reckoned with, and definitely put Joey Cool in a hot seat. That being said,
we got Zach Wilson back.
We got Zach Wilson back, baby, for the Steelers that are not. I mean, I'm saying the Steelers are going to lose. I think we're going to get another W.
I don't know about that.
You think the Steelers are going to beat us?
I think it might take Zach Wilson a game to adjust to playing again. Maybe. I mean, who's to say?
I
hope they win, but
I think he's been practicing his heart out. I think he's been playing with what he can. I think the rest of the team is ready. I think the Wilson connection is going to be beautiful.
Hey, what happened?
I think we're going to see a lot of. You're right. It might take him a little bit to get used to throwing. So we're going to see a very strong running game. So we're going to see a lot of Breece Hall. We're going to see a lot of. Why am I drawing a blank? Who's our RB1?
Breece Hall, Michael Carter.
I'm sorry, RB2.
Michael Carter.
Oh, Michael Carter. Yes. So we're going to see a lot of them. I think it's going to be a more run-heavy offense this week. But we're going to see some cute plays with Zach Wilson. I'm very excited, very hopeful. And Zach Wilson is on one of my fantasy teams. He is on my bench because I have Lamar Jackson on that team. But I do want to talk about my other team, which is I am but a visitor in the Ivy League Fantasy Football League, and I am working them out. I am 3-0 right now. I have just been absolutely dominating. I think I was actually highest scoring last week.
I think you might be the only undefeated team left.
No, I think I believe someone else was.
Check the league.
I'm looking at the league right now. Sam is also undefeated.
I don't know how.
Ethan is 0-3, which is really tough.
Yeah, that's rough. He doesn't have a bad team either. He got Eckler and Leonard Fournette as his running back.
That's pretty good. I'm surprised. But that being said, I did wash the floor with these boys last week, and I am feeling pretty hopeful about this week. But I am up against the Ivy League fantasy champ.
Yeah, the defensive champ from last year.
Who had Joe Mixon, who did 17.4 last night.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's really good. He's got Michael Carter as his running back. He's got Jalen Hurts as his QB, who has been a monster.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is a force to be reckoned with. The only reason I'm not sweating is because I have the other monster, Josh Allen.
I honestly, I don't have a lot of confidence in Michael Carter as the season's going on. I mean, even just last game, Breece Hall led the team in touches. And in the passing game, Breece Hall is starting to be more and more involved, which is going to mean less of a role for Michael Carter. I really think I'd be pleased, because I have Michael Carter in the league, and I'd be pleased if he puts up 10 points this week. I really think Breece Hall is going to continue to take this ball in the backfield and run with it. No pun intended.
No, I agree. I think Breece Hall has been producing a lot. I think he's been showing out good for his first year.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think he's going to definitely have more. He's going to be a priority over Michael Carter.
For sure.
He also has Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah. I don't know about that one.
You don't think it's going to be a good...
It's without Tyreek there, it's so tough to figure out who's going to be the wide receiver one in Kansas City. And I actually started working on that spreadsheet again that I did last year, and I'm doing it again for this year. And what I've seen is Kansas City receivers don't really perform well. They're not really scoring more than 10 points a game. So I think you're relatively safe there.
But that's because he's trying to figure out who his wide receiver one is.
Travis Kelce.
But I'm saying I think he's trying to figure out who's gonna.
Yeah. Well, even Patrick Mahomes said at the beginning of the season, it's going to be tough to figure out who the wide receiver one in fantasy is for Kansas City.
He's been passing a lot to everyone.
Yeah, spreading the ball around. He's got the options now.
So that's why all the receivers have really low points, because it's spread evenly across all the receivers of Kansas City. So the upside of that, if you have a Kansas City receiver, it's a safe bet you're going to get some points, but you're not going to get high production out of that team. There was someone who really absolutely shocked me, and he did so well that I was disturbed that someone tried to trade him, offer a trade with some random running back. Let's see then. It was.
Take your time.
I'm so sorry.
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, yes. Mark Andrews with 28.9 points last week. Disgusting. Gross. And amazing. And I think he was going to hand me. I don't even know who he wanted to give me.
He's the best tight end in fantasy right now.
He is killing the game, and I'm very excited to see him play again.
Weird flex, but you have the best tight end core in the league right now. You have Mark Andrews, you have Tyler Higbee, and who else do you have? You have the third guy.
Freeman.
Freiermuth,
yeah. Pat
Those are
Freiermuth.
3 guys that start on any team at that tight end position. Not at the flex, at the tight end. And he's got these guys just chilling.
I have Mark Andrews as my tight end, and then Freiermuth as my flex. And I do have Higbee. Higbee has not done great for me. That's why he's been mainly on my bench.
He's putting up 10 points on the bench, though. That's
which is impressive. Which is great.
good for any team that needs a starting tight end.
Absolutely. And so if you guys hear this,
Like my team.
yeah, listen, give me an offer. We'll talk about it.
Nah, I'm praying that David Njoku can repeat that 23.9 performance from last week.
Did you give me CD?
I did. I gave you CD and Zeke. And you gave me Pittman and Jacobs, and then I turned Jacobs into T. Higgins and Cam Akers.
Oh, look at
I turned Jacobs and DJ Moore into T. Higgins.
Bro, you really.
Listen,
you
I make
flipped
moves. I make moves. Now I got
Bro,
2 great receivers. I'm a little upset about losing CD after he put up 22 points. He was kind of shit in the bed to start the season. But I'm happy to see that he's at least producing or starting to produce like he's supposed to. And I'm glad if he's going to produce for anyone, it's this guy. I'm not going to give him to anyone else in the league. But I mean, that's always a fear when you trade a guy away. Is he going to start blowing up now that he's not on my team? And it's looking like that might be the case for CD. Probably not Zeke as much, but CD, yeah, definitely.
No, Zeke
he's
is
the wide receiver 1 on that team. He's garnering all those targets, especially when Dak comes back. I picked up Noah Brown just because Cooper Rush and Noah Brown are on that second team offense in practice, excuse me, and they have those reps and they have that chemistry already. So CD Lamb is that wide receiver 1 for the team, but to Cooper Rush, Noah Brown is his wide receiver 1.
Right.
He put up like 20-something points in week 2 or something. So it just doesn't make sense to not start him. He's projected like 7 points this week, but they're going against Washington, who has the 3rd worst defense against receivers in fantasy this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
I would
a lot better.
be surprised if CD and Noah Brown both don't blow up for 15 plus points.
That's a fair. I'd agree with that.
Even if Cooper Rush starts. Especially if Cooper Rush starts. If it's Dak, I probably won't expect Noah Brown to maybe get more than 10.
Dak is back this week?
He could be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be longer than that. I thought it was like 6 weeks.
I think he's supposed to be out 4 to 6, and I think this week is probably 3 or 4 because he got hurt week 1.
Yes.
Midweek 1.
Yeah. Because
Middle of the game.
the group chat was going crazy after that. But yeah, all right. So I'm glad he has speedy recovery.
Yeah.
But it would be smarter than not to play him right away. Let him heal a little more.
I mean, especially against the Washington team, like Cooper Rush has been handling it pretty well so far. I think you can err on the side of caution and give Dak another week of rest and recovery, and let Cooper take the helm for another week. Speaking of Coopers, Amari Cooper has been blowing up on the Browns. I did not expect that from Jacoby Brissett. Amari Cooper's proven that he's just a good receiver. He's not good in a system. He was good with the Raiders, being I think the first rookie receiver for the Raiders to have 1,000 yards, and then not only good for the Cowboys opposite CeeDee Lamb for the last year or two, but now he's on the Browns with Jacoby Brissett, not even Deshaun Watson. And I'm a little jealous that you got Amari Cooper Because when Deshaun Watson comes back week 12, towards the end of the season going into playoffs, that's only going to skyrocket Amari Cooper's fantasy value.
Absolutely. Amari Cooper is a...
And I mean, who else are they throwing to on the Browns?
No.
Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Yeah,
No.
no.
David Bell?
Nope.
Amari Cooper and maybe David Njoku if he keeps producing like this.
Absolutely. And Amari Cooper just has a way about him that he can just slide away from any coverage he has.
He's such an excellent route runner.
He is brilliant.
It's going to be like... It's going to be like Deshaun Watson with DeAndre Hopkins when they were in Houston together.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think it's going to be, as much as I have mixed feelings about Deshaun Watson coming back, just on a moral standpoint,
Yeah, I mean...
I think it's going to be...
get into that.
Yeah, no. From a purely...
Everyone knows about all that.
And know where we stand on that. But I am excited for fantasy in that point because now I'm really going to start blowing up. Yeah, Mark Cooper's been doing very good for me. On my other league, I have Nick Chubb, who was a mistake. I didn't intend to pick him first, but he has been doing very well for me, and I can't complain. He's one of those guys, man, that just absolutely...
30 points against the Jets.
It was insane. It was absolutely insane. So, yeah, just like you had the other day with the Bengals, I had with the Browns, because I'm like, well, Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb are on my fantasy team, but my heart is with the Jets. So I was a very happy guy because I had a ton of points and my Jets still won. So I want to see more of that from the Jets this year. So please, I don't want to eat two of these. I don't even want to eat one. But it's about that time of the episode where we do predictions for the Sunday night games, the Sunday afternoon, night, and Monday night games. We're going to start with the Vikings and the Saints. I'm going to go with Vikings. I think
I'm going to go with the Vikings too. Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas, both out, not playing. A game in London, so neither team are home. But Dalvin Cook avoided being sat out this week for that injury. I think the Vikings are going to take this.
I agree. I have no argument on that. Next we have the Browns and the Falcons. I think the Falcons are going to get their second win.
The Browns are going to slaughter the Falcons. The way Njoku and Cooper played last week,
absolutely,
all they could do was the same thing. Jacoby Brissett just got a tight end Cooper, and they're going to blow up.
The Falcons' defense is not going to be able to handle that.
Falcons' defense is garbanzo beans.
It is, and it shows in their record. Let's look at the Commanders and the Cowboys. We already talked about this. Anyone who's got any kind of Cowboys player on their fantasy team, celebrate because you're about to get a ton of points.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys in that one.
100%. Next we have the Seahawks and the Lions, two stinker teams.
I want to take the Lions. No, I'm not going to take the Lions.
I was going to lean Seahawks.
Because DeAndre Swift isn't playing and Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't playing. Their starting receiver and arguably one of the best running backs in the league. I think I said this before the season started. There's two guys this season that I think could have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving. Austin Eckler, who hasn't been panning out that well, but there's still time, and DeAndre Swift. And DeAndre Swift has been heavily involved in the passing game and the run game, and Jamal Williams will step into that DeAndre Swift role and have a monster game against the Seahawks for sure.
Absolutely.
That being said, I think the Seahawks are going to win it because the Lions defense isn't that great. Seahawks defense isn't great either, but the Lions defense is worse. Chemistry between Geno Smith and DK and Tyler Lockett's getting better. I think they're just going to continue on, and this could be a possible breakout game for DK.
Here's hoping. Because I think I also have DK in one of my leagues. Next we have the Titans and the Colts.
I'm taking the Titans. The Titans want to get Treylon Burks more involved in the passing game, and he's a dynamic rookie receiver that they drafted from Arkansas. Derrick Henry, I think, is going to continue to step up, and Indy's defense has not been as good as everyone thought they were going to be to start the season. I think Derrick Henry's going to run all over them, and Tannehill's got to figure something out. He's struggling without A.J. Brown. Bobby Trees and Treylon Burks are good, but they can only do so much. And you can't keep handing to Derrick Henry, giving him 30 carries a game on that foot that he's got a metal plate in. But I think Derrick Henry's going to build on that 25-point game last week in fantasy, and I think the Titans are going to take it.
That's right, especially because there's a lot of injuries on the defense of the Colts.
Yeah.
Julian Blackmon, DeForest Buckner.
Ooh, Buckner's out.
Questionable.
Yeah,
He's questionable.
If Buckner doesn't play, it's a definite Titans win.
As where is Shaquille Leonard? He's also questionable. So it's definitely
he's probably the best linebacker in the league, if not one of the best.
So with that, if both of them are out because they're questionable right now.
Well, Leonard hasn't played a single game yet.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So very unlikely that he's gonna come in. So if neither of them are, Julian Blackmon is definitely out.
He's what, a safety or a corner?
Safety.
Yeah.
So on top of the defense that's already not producing as well as expected, with a very injured and limping defense, Tennessee has it. Next we have the Bears and the Giants.
I'm thinking the Giants on that one.
Really? I was gonna say Bears.
Saquon is feeling himself.
He's doing good. He's he's getting back into the groove.
He said about his start to the season, he's like, this is who I know. This is who I know myself to be. He really is in his groove. He's in his element right now. They lost Sterling Shepard for the season, but that just means they got to get Kenny Golladay more involved. They got to get Kadarius Toney more involved. Richie James is good, but he's only one guy. You can't make your whole passing attack Richie James or David Sills. I mean, I don't even think they're using Darius Slayton. They really. The Giants got to do some more on offense, especially with former Bills offensive coordinator Brad Dable as their head coach. You'd expect some sort of similarities between the Bills' offense last year and how the Giants' offense should be this year. But I heard he's completely handing off play calling to the offensive coordinator, which is a very great move by him to just trust his team and his coordinators.
Absolutely. They have the best relationship with the offensive team. They know exactly how they work. Some of the injuries we got going on, the Bears, questionable is Velus Jones Jr., doubtful is Ryan Griffin, out is Jalen Johnson in their corner.
Yeah, he's
we got a questionable linebacker of Robert Quinn, and their punt kicker, Cario Santos, is questionable. As for the Giants, it's more, it's actually their cornerbacks and their wide receivers. They got Cordell Folt out, Nick McLeod is out, Kadarius Toney is out, Wandale Robinson is out, and Leonard Williams is out. So,
it's just going to be an offensive battle.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
This could be Justin Fields' breakout game this season. Not breakout game to continue and blow up for success, but I think the Bears have been playing so bad, and they have not been trusting Justin Fields or utilizing Justin Fields to the best of his ability. And I think with these players out on the defensive end for the Giants, you got to do something. You got to get Darnell Mooney involved. You got to get their tight end Cole Kmet involved. You got to do something.
Right, definitely kind of figure out
use Justin Fields' legs, use his arm. It's yeah, they got to figure something out, and I think this could be the game that they do. Absolutely. But yeah, and even on the Bears' defensive front, you got Roquan Smith, one of the more underrated linebackers in the league. Robert Quinn, I mean, if he's out, that's rough, but they still got other guys on that defensive front. They got other guys in that secondary without Jalen Johnson. It's going to be, they're going to be feeling it without Jalen Johnson, but I think this is just going to be an offensive battle.
So good news for anyone with fantasy. Are you going to put Justin Fields in?
Absolutely not. I already dropped him and picked up Zach Wilson.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
I picked him up just to see how he does this week, how he adjusts. I'm not going to drop him after this week if he doesn't do well. I'm gonna hang out to him for a little bit, see how he plays, see how
Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have him as my backup on one of my other.
He could be dynamic with now Garrett Wilson in the offense and Elijah Moore and Corey Davis.
Absolutely, he's definitely got some good weapons as long as our offensive line can keep him with time. If he has time to actually make a play, I think he's going to do very well because he's got that arm. He's got the capability, and we can see our receivers run out there and really go for that deep throw because Joe Flacco did often. Now, none of them really connected, only a few and far between. But, this is a Jets offense is not afraid to throw these long bombs. And I'm hoping we can see more of that with Zach Wilson. Hopefully the offensive line can give him the time to make a big play like that because we aren't really a team at big plays. I'm also
Yeah.
hoping to see more out of our defense. I'm hoping to see more interceptions. I'm hoping to see more sacks. Just like I want more enticing, exhilarating football from this team as they have the opportunity. But enough about the Jets. We'll get back to them. Jaguars and Eagles. I'm gonna go with the Eagles, keeping their undefeated streak.
Oh yeah, I think this could be an upset.
You think the Jags are gonna upset?
I want to say upset in quotes because the Jags are really playing not like the Jags this season.
They are playing better.
They destroyed the Colts. I think they shut them out in week 2. Last week they beat the Chargers, one of the probably title contenders,
Absolutely.
consensus title contender.
I would say that. That's a fair.
Trevor Lawrence is really coming into his own. Trevor Lawrence has got a flurry of weapons with Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, who was really kind of just a good wide receiver 3 for any team that he was on, with the Bills, with the Raiders. But Trevor Lawrence is giving him a career revitalization in Jacksonville right now. James Robinson's playing like James Robinson. Evan Engram, I mean, they're using him somehow. You know,
I guess
Mr. Butterhands on the Giants.
Hey man, whatever it
Dropped
takes.
more passes than I've ever seen.
But you know what? I guess he just needed the right quarterback, and I guess Trevor Lawrence needed a year warm up, and now he's really starting to produce. So it could be good. I know he was the top pick when it came to QBs
Yeah.
for his draft class. He was in the same draft class as Zach
He was
Wilson.
the pick before Zach Wilson.
Exactly. Excuse me. Speaking of Zach Wilson, Jets versus Steelers. You thinking the Steelers are gonna take it?
Who's out
Let me
on
see.
the defensive end?
Let's see. For the Steelers, their cornerback, Akello Witherspoon, is out. George Fant is on injury reserve.
Yeah, George Fant's done for the season.
Hurts. Brendan Eccles is questionable, and Quincy Williams is out. So that does hurt on our defensive end. But I don't think that are they starting Kenny Pickett yet?
No,
No.
they're sticking with Mitch.
And Mitch isn't that good, if I'm being honest. So I think our defense will be able to keep up with them.
I think the Jets could win this, but I'm not going to take the Jets as a surefire win.
Surefire is always a bold move. But I think the Jets are going to be able to squeak by. I think
they could. I think they could.
Ooh, this is a tough one for me. We got the Bills and the Ravens. Tough one emotionally. Analytically, obviously the Bills are going to really take it. Lamar has been doing good, but man, there's something about that Dolphins upset. My friend, who's a Ravens fan,
The Dolphins upset both of those teams.
he did. They did. You're right. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. I think the Bills are going to still win it. I think the Bills overall.
Both of those quarterbacks are MVP candidates.
I'm gonna have a good week in fantasy. Yeah, no, I think they're gonna be. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be fun to watch offensively. But that being said, the Bills' defense is just that much better. It's gonna really hold Lamar Jackson's feet to the fire, and I think the Bills are gonna take it.
In the league.
But I think it is going to be a fun game to watch. I'm very excited for it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's going on at the same time as the Jets game. That's unfortunate. Next, we have the Chargers and the sorry.
You right? Yeah.
Chargers and Texans. Chargers. I mean, it could have been a fluke, the Jaguars win against them, or it could be that the Jaguars are doing well. But I think the Chargers are going to be able to beat the Texans. I don't think the Texans have anything that's going to be able to. Well, actually, let's look at the injuries.
No Keenan Allen for the Chargers. I know that much.
No, he's out.
He hasn't played since the middle of week 1.
Donald Parham Jr. is questionable. Rashawn Slater, their OT.
Yeah, he's
is
out for this season. That's rough for them.
Joey Bosa is also out, and Jalen Guyton.
Guyton. Yeah, he
He's on
hasn't
IR.
played yet, I think.
All three of them are on IR. As with the Texans, Brevin Jordan is out. Austin DeColis is out. And questionable, they have Isaac Yiadom, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and Farrell Brown. So they're questionable and out on 2 of their tight ends.
So they're gonna be leaning on OJ Howard if anything.
Mm-hmm. I'm still gonna say Chargers. I have a feeling that that's gonna be a pretty set match.
I don't know. I really don't know who to take there.
For the sake of the game, you might as well go against me.
Yeah,
Might as
take
well.
the Texans.
Now for the Cardinals and the Panthers. Now the Cardinals are having quite an opposite season than last year. Last year they were undefeated for about 10 games, I believe it was, before they finally got knocked out.
Yeah. And now they're playing like hot garbage.
They're playing pretty rough. That being said, though,
I'm still
the only
taking the
one,
Cardinals.
the only team I think that's playing worse than them is the Panthers. So I think the Cardinals are gonna take it. I'm in full agreement with you. Next we have the Patriots and the Packers. Packers. I mean, no question. Packers are gonna take it. Aaron Rodgers starting to
No
come.
Mac Jones this week for the Patriots. Brian Hoyer's going to be stepping in.
Oh yeah, no shot. Who else is out for them? They also got Yannick Ajuste, their offensive tackle. Lawrence Guy, their defensive end, is also out.
Yeah.
The safety Kyle Duggar is questionable, as well as Kobe Myers is also questionable, which is significant. As for the Packers, their questionable is Jair Alexander and Caleb Jones is out. So that does affect it, but they're clearly not as hurt as the wounded duck that is the New England Patriots.
If there's no Jair Alexander, I mean, you could expect, if Jacoby Myers doesn't play, expect a big game from Aguilar or Parker. If Alexander doesn't play either. Yeah, man. What's next? Broncos Raiders. You know, I have Russell Wilson on one of my fantasy teams, and he is playing abysmally.
Yeah.
It seems like the Russ magic is gone. And if there's ever a week for him to take it back and show us that he's still Russell Wilson, it's this week.
Absolutely.
I want to take the Broncos on this. I mean, even their defensive alone could probably stop that Raiders offense. Carr and Devontae Adams haven't been clicking, and Devontae Adams hasn't been the Devontae Adams that we know him to be.
Very true.
So,
But that being said, on the Broncos defense, we have Quinn Meinzer is out. We have Darius Phillips that's out. Billy Turner that's out. That's their guards. Tyler Cleveland is out on the offense, and DJ Jones is questionable. So, that is a factor to think about. As for the Raiders,
Rock Ya-Sin.
is questionable.
Love that name.
It's a fun one. Sam Webb is questionable.
Hunter
Renfro is out, and so is Forrest Morel.
I would expect another solid game from Mac Hollins then, if there's no Hunter Renfro. Last week he had 29.96, only because he threw a pass or something. But I would expect at least a 10-point outing from Mac Hollins this week.
Alright. I'm still going to say the Raiders. I think this is going to be what turns them around. I think they've had a rough couple weeks, but
I think they're going to shut down Josh Jacobs, which is going to force them to throw. And going against the secondary with Justin Simmons and Patrick Surtain, it's going to be tough.
It is, but I'm still going to say Raiders. Another fun one, the Chiefs and the Buccaneers.
I'm gonna
That's a tight one.
take the Buccaneers because of their defense
That's a good point.
and the lack of Tyreek Hill for the
Chiefs?
Chiefs. I mean, look at how the Buccaneers shut down the Chiefs in that Super Bowl game, and
is
the
true.
Buccaneers defense is not too different from that Super Bowl team.
But that offense is different on the Chiefs.
No Tyreek.
No Tyreek, but I think that could play to their advantage.
Against the best secondary in the league.
I think because he's going to be throwing around, I think he's going to be because he's not really honing in on one person. I think he really is going to have his options. He's going to see who's open, who's going to make that one silly mistake that's going to cause them to lose the coverage, and then that's a touchdown right there. I'm going to say the Chiefs, only because I am a diehard Brady hater, for the culture of being a Jets fan,
Oh yeah.
and I also do really think that this is this is gonna be a more interesting and a more fun offense to watch on the Chiefs, and I think they're really gonna show out and they're gonna really put this Buccaneers defense on their heels.
We'll see.
Let's see who's out. Let's also see. So
Nope,
on the
it's gotta
Chiefs,
win.
No Chris
for
Godwin.
the Buccaneers.
Well, he got bumped up to questionable.
I don't think he'll play.
I doubt it. Julio Jones is also questionable. Russell Gage is also questionable.
Yeah, that's rough.
Akeem Hicks is out. And Brashad
Perriman.
thank you, is doubtful. As for the Chiefs, their only out is Mike Dana. Joshua Kando is questionable. Harrison Butker is questionable. And Marcus Valdez-Scantling is questionable. But he hasn't really been doing much anyway. I have him on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
He has a nice spot on the bench for me. He's definitely not one of my big players. That being said, I'm still going to say Chiefs.
All right.
Now for them, we'll do the Monday night game, Thursday night game, then we'll wrap it up. Monday night, we have the Rams and the 49ers. It's the Rams. I don't see the 49ers doing anything fancy, especially they got Jimmy G starting again, right?
I'm taking the 49ers.
You're taking the 49ers, really?
Yeah.
Why? What makes you think that the 49ers?
I have Debo and Jeff Wilson on my fantasy
Oh,
teams.
okay. See, you're playing, all right.
So I just hope they play well. And if I play well, that means they'll win.
Well, the Rams' defense is hurting. We do have Brian Allen, who's questionable, Kobe Durant, who's questionable, David Long Jr., who's questionable, Jordan Fuller, who's questionable, and Darian Kendrick. So this could be a very different defense than what we're expecting.
I'm going to be real with you. I only know one of those names. So
Fair. As for the 49ers, also hurting on defense, Travarius Moore is questionable. Danny Gray, their wide receiver, is questionable. Ross Dwelly is questionable.
Yeah, but they got George Kittle. Ross Dwelly doesn't matter.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Javon Kinlaw, who's questionable, and Arik Armstead, who is questionable.
Those two will hurt on the defensive front.
If they do not show
Not
up.
having them.
Absolutely. So hopefully they're healthy enough to play Monday night. They got an extra day of rest. Now we'll dip into week 5, like we always do, and do the Thursday night game, which is the Colts and the Broncos. I'm gonna say the Broncos on that one, but that does depend on how they play, how the Colts play Sunday.
Yeah.
It could be a very different Colts team, and I could be eating
I
my
might have to take the
words.
Broncos account too on that one.
Well, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. These wings weren't as spicy as I thought. They definitely got our throats tickled a little bit.
That last one hit me different. I don't know why.
Yeah, you know what? It was sitting in the juices the most. I really did like the Screaming Chipotle. It had a lot more spice, but the Raging Cajun was very, very flavorful, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to keep an eye out for, as the weeks progress, one of us is going to be either very happy or very sad because we're going to be staring these chips down, and one of us, at least one of us, is going to have to eat one of these damn chips. So keep an eye out for that. If you have any sauce recommendations or wing recommendations that you want us to try, leave them down below. Or you can add us. Our ads are going to be down here. Also, Wingboys is going to be up here. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you later.
Boyaka.